we'll introduce the judging rules and the judges will introduce themselves now. Your presentations to everybody, including the judges, begins at 1 o'clock. Uh, we will end the presentations at 3, depending on how much time, but you have 5 minutes to present and 5 minutes to answer questions. Judging begins at 3 o'clock. We'll announce the winners at 3:30, and we will close this event at 4. Right. So, judging rules. The top part of it, you've submitted your challenges. I hope you submitted it both to the International Space Apps Challenge main website, as well as filled out the local form to submit to the Space Apps Boston site. We need that because we need access to your presentations, and we need to know who's presenting or who's in the presentations itself. Right. So remember, you have 5 minutes. Please submit both on the NASA ISAC website as well as fill out the survey. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us on Slack. Right? Judging, we have 2 forms. One is the local judging that will happen here today. There is also global judging that happens at the international level. Uh, there are slightly different criteria for both, especially the one that if you're inventing your own challenge, then you won't be eligible for the global award. But definitely local, we have a more open set of criteria, right? Uh, as you've seen this before, for global judging, you're responding to one of the official challenges. You're including a link to your output, essentially your code or your presentation. Uh, Everything, as a reminder, is open source because this is NASA, this is for the world, and we want to make sure that you are registering all of your team members, just not only the one who's presenting on your team's webpage, both on the NASA site as well as when you fill out the survey or fill out the form for this event. Right. So without further ado, I will pass the control over to our judges who can introduce themselves.
Are we going to go in order here?
Yeah.
I guess Chris should be. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Carr. I have just joined Georgia Tech as a faculty member in the Department of Aerospace Engineering and Earth Atmospheric Sciences. And my research focuses on developing instruments for life detection beyond Earth, focusing on single molecule. And I've been involved with this group for a few years, and I can't wait to hear what you've done.
Hi, I'm Brendan Allen. I'm an astronomer at Harvard here. The primary field that I work in is the development of instrumentation for X-ray astronomy, and also for probing planetary bodies, usually airless, with the same sorts of X-ray technologies. So that's where I usually sit. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jun Suzuki. My specialization are in software engineering and computer networks. This is my very first time to participate in NASA Hackathon. I'm very excited.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Kane. My background's in robotics and automation. I'm director of hardware for a local company called Six River Systems. We make robots for logistics and automation in warehouses and e-commerce fulfillment. I've sat in a few of these hackathons in the past. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens today.
Thank you, judges. This is going to be a fun event today. In addition, we also have Nim here, who is our judge for the best use of Kintone API. So Nim, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Nim. I'm the technical evangelist here at Kintone. This is my first time judging the NASA Hackathon, but I'm very excited to see what you guys have done, and best of luck to everybody.
Thanks, Nim. So just a reminder, the local judging criteria, you have impact. Of course, what is the quality and the quantity that this project can solve? Can it solve a big problem? Can it solve a little problem? How elegantly does it solve it? What's the influence of it on other people? How creative or innovative is it? Is it novel? Did you put Did you do something that hasn't been done before? Are you trying to illustrate what is a possibility? That counts a lot. Is it solution? Is it scientifically sound? Is it in the realms of possibility? Does it solve the problem uh, properly? Does it actually solve the problem you're saying it's going to solve? And is it practical? Relevance, is the solution relevant to the challenge you have picked? Is it a complete solution, or is it what are the next steps? If it's not, does it require any further innovations in its own field, or is it technically feasible? Is it user friendly, and is it usable as a solution itself? And then, of course, also how clearly are you presenting as the team? Are you presenting your project? Are you able to effectively tell a story, and are you able to answer the questions that the judges ask in terms of the impact, the creativity, the validity, and the relevance of the project? So all of that plays a role in our judging criteria. In addition, this year, in keeping with the times, if you will, we will also, for all attendees who have put in their submissions and are going to be here in this event, we will ship you, if you give us your physical address, an Isaac face mask that we have created specifically for this event. So at the end of this event, you will get a survey that you would fill out. That survey includes the name of your team, your team members, things like that, with their addresses. So please fill that out. If you live in the conterminous United States, that's 48 states except for a couple that you can't. It's logistically hard to get there. We will mail your face mask, right? And if you win the first and the second prize team members, you will get also something that we have made specifically for this event. You will get an original cotton canvas pack, uh, more green, reusable. Hope you can use that on a daily basis. Kintone, Nim, do you want to announce the Kintone prize?
Sure thing. So there are two Kintone prizes. First is a $300 Amazon gift card, which is going to be given to the team with the best use of the Kintone API. And then we're also going to be, if you make your address available, we'll also be shipping the winning team for each team member an Ubnitz Internet of Things microcontroller, which you guys can continue to hack with. So again, a $300 Amazon gift card for the whole team, and for each team member, an Ubnitz Internet of Things microcontroller. Good luck.
Thanks, Nim. Just a reminder, if you haven't done so, you should submit at for the local link as well. Please do so. We are seeing submissions on the NASA website. We have seen fewer submissions on the local link. So please make sure you go to the welcome Slack channel and click on the one that says for local judging. If you have questions, ask us so that we can help republish that link. Or if you're having trouble accessing it, please let us know as well. So just want to make sure that you know that you have to present in both, you have to submit in both places. So global judging, once we are done with local judging, the two winners that we came up with, that the judges come up with, will be submitted for global judging. And once that happens, the winners will have roughly a week to create a 30-second project video to present. And that project video, 30 seconds seems like a short amount of time, but we've seen a lot of people do very well at presenting a clear story on the impact of your solution. It's not about technical presentation, it's about the impact, right? Timelines, very roughly, we're going to start this soon. We're going to have our event today, and we're going to get the top two winning teams. The organizers will submit those for global judging. You will submit a video by 10/12. By late October to early December is when global judging actually happens. We've got experts from all over the world judging you for global judging. Early December is when the finalists are announced via the Space Apps social media. And then there's another round that goes for executive judging, that goes to a collection of, I think, NASA, JAXA, and a whole bunch of other space agencies. Then you get that, and then the global winners will be selected in 7 different criteria, and then the team winners will actually get to attend a launch, which is really exciting if travel is deemed safe. All right. So that being said, we will now close this part of the session, and we will resume when after you have presented. We'll start the presentations at 1 o'clock. So please go back and submit as soon as possible on the local judging servers on the local judging survey, so that we can include you in the presentations today. Thank you, and you can come back here at 1 o'clock.
Harish, should I turn on the breakout room?
Yes, please.
All right.
Emily? It's me. Oh.
I think we are going to extend the presentation for another 15 minutes. So we'll start at 1:15 because I think a few people are still in the process of submitting. So we'll start at 1:15 instead of 1 o'clock.
that information awareness is part of a valid solution. There are policymakers and people in power and community organizers who use data to make informed decisions about systems that will affect everybody. So while data may seem to be an objective force, we showed in our solution how you can come to the wrong conclusions when there are problems in the data. Let me go to this link here. We created a comprehensive guide to highlight the aspects of the model minority myth and how it negatively impacts the Asian American Pacific Islander community, or API community. So as I scroll down, to start with, we can go over some contextual demographics on Asian American and Pacific Islanders. So API are 5% of the American population, and you can kind of see how that compares in this bubble chart. 5% seems kind of like a small number, it's 5. But when you take that out of the population of the United States, that's actually 17 million people. And when we explore a little further into what Asian means, there's over 20 ethnicities and 33 languages included in just Asian. And you can see how there's a couple of groups that make up a huge majority, and then there are some groups that are minorities within a minority. And so we based our arguments off of what are some pillars of the model minority myth. And one of them is that API are smart, studious people. That's just how they are. So this graph kind of almost complements that idea in a way. So this graph shows the percent of people within that ethnicity or race who have completed a high school education. So it seems like Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are at the top. They're number 2. They're 88%. But let's break down that a little bit further. So we're taking, before we had, oh, it's just Asian. And now we're adding some more information about all of those other ethnic groups that are included in that. And that creates a bit of a longer bar chart with all those over 20 ethnicities. And it shows how there's actually a huge gap in the high school graduation rate for people within different ethnic groups. So you can see if you had just said Asian, it would have been 88% and kind of in the middle here between everyone else. That's how averages work. And there's this big gap between the number one, 98%, and the bottom, Bhutanese, at 51%. That's an entire 50% gap that is invisible when you average it out. So this is a pattern that we found present throughout a lot of the different pillars of the model minority myth, including wealth, advanced degrees, and careers in STEM. And the rest of our site does cover that. And in addition to that, we have where does the model minority myth come from, a brief history, who it harms and how, why it's hard to dispel, and then why we think data disaggregation can help. So another part of our site was that it has been heavy on the data so far. And while that can point out some inconsistencies, the model minority myth is something that you live through. And we wanted to include that personal qualitative touch by showcasing stories from people who lived through this and been affected by it. So we set up a Google survey, sent it to friends, and displayed their stories here. This is to show that they're not alone. It's not just something that is in their heads, and for others who might not have the same background, for them to empathize and see what some of these people go through. That is the end of our demo, and I can go back to the slides to Sukanya.
Yeah, so what are our next steps? During this project, we hypothesized that the model minority myth relied on inaccurate data to perpetuate the notion that Asian American and Pacific Islanders are successful and thriving in America. Viewing graphs that lump them into one group like that certainly seemed to indicate that this was so. However, upon disaggregating, we found that not all ABBY people have the same privileges across education, wealth, and career opportunities. These privileges and lack thereof would not be evident if we continue to aggregate data. Furthermore, they would not be acted upon without equal representation on the political stage. By having representatives that not only use data to make informed decisions, but also value the communities in which they are familiar with, underprivileged minorities can trust real change that will fix the systems that have failed them.
And that is why it's important to vote. So this is our team, and that was our project. For a lot of us, this was our first hackathon. And thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Team Javas. That was awesome. We'll hand it over to the judges for questions.
This is Chris Carr. I'm curious. How did you this is a different year than many in the past, and so I'm just wondering if you could talk about how you came together as a group and how you decided upon this topic.
Sure, I can answer that, Ambi.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the 5 of us are actually all friends. We know each other. And as was mentioned before, this was a topic that was very important to us. So as we were ideating different things that we could talk about and use data for, we kept going back to the model minority myth because this is something that affects us individually every day. And it has been, quite a journey to not only just experience it in everyday life, but to also document it and learn new things.
Thank you.
Hi, sorry, this is Brandon, also one of the judges. Chris, I'm not rolling over extra questions you want to ask, am I? I'm not sure if we should use the raise hand feature, so I'll just ask. But if I'm talking over anybody, just let me know. I hate Zoom for this. Sorry. So I wanted to ask, in terms of creating additional representation in Congress, so that that bullet point's a very large. I should say that's a very large goal to try and push through. Do you have any thoughts on how you might want to try pushing that goal forward?
Yeah, so Congress, national level, lots of impact for systemic changes, but you can also go to lower forms of government. There's citywide, countywide, local government, and I did say that it was important to vote for national elections, but also very important to learn about local elections and what your local city councilors are up to. In addition to that, there's a lot of community organizers within those smaller ethnic groups who are passionate about topics like this. And if you're interested, you can get more involved with them. And they're always out there sharing resources, sharing information that can help advocate for their cause.
Are any of you running this year or thinking about in the next couple of years?
I've thought about it.
Ooh.
It's a great question.
On a more serious note, I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I don't think any of us are thinking about running. But we are very passionate about making changes and being very vocal about this kind of thing. In this particular case, the model minority myth is so ingrained in our society that we don't even, notice when it's in practice, such as, teachers not taking Asian students' concerns seriously, or assuming that your Asian coworkers are more capable of doing a certain kind of job. Even though it can sound very complimentary, it has quite a negative impact on the individual person and the community as a whole. So as Anvi said, it helps to start small. And even though we're not planning on running for any kind of national election or anything like that, and then in the meantime, it certainly helps be vocal and to talk about it.
Yeah, and we hope that we can share this information with people who need it and people who need to see it.
So actually, I have another, on that topic, I do have one more question. Do you have any sort of strategy in mind for trying to reach people who probably need to see it most? So there are, as we all know, certain bubbles within American society that people exist in. Some of them, not so nice, and some of them, just completely oblivious to a lot of outside conditions. So I guess the thrust of my question is, do you have any thoughts on how you might try and pop some of those bubbles? So instead of talking to the choir, trying to reach out and grab the attention of somebody who may just not be aware of the, how should I say, for lack of a better word, the stuff that comes out of their mouth.
There are 13 seconds remaining.
I can answer this quick. I think that representation is a great way to continue this kind of conversation in the long term. And that can be evident in many different ways, including, the media that you watch, the people that you work with, the people within your field. And I think that as people are more exposed to folks who have different opinions, different backgrounds, and different, even lifestyle choices as them, change can be slow, but it certainly does happen. And I think that's one of the strongest ways we can promote this kind of positivity in this conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Cool. Next up is Team ZASA.
Shall we share slide by
I'm sharing. I'm sharing it. Sorry,
Okay.
it's taking me a minute to do that.
Okay.
And ZASA has used Kintone in their presentation. One second. I'm having some non-Zoom related difficulties on my end. I apologize. All right. Team ZASA, the stage is yours. Just let me know when to advance the slide.
Marscraft by Daichi Kawasaki. Koki Kunugi, Lisa Sogo Tatseno. Next, please. Summary. Our project is a survival game on Mars. This game is a simulation of people living on Mars. This project is important because people need to know about Mars. People can simulate that when you go Mars. We modeled the view from Mars as real as possible. Next, please.
I drew the sky. details can be found here. Next.
How does it work? We used Unity. We choose ideas that make video game about the Mars. We used Unity's background. We could communicate with you. To understand the science behind Mars, we studied the Martian atmosphere, which is different from Earth. Next, please.
Can you click the video, please? The middle one. Sorry, it finished. It's looping.
That was the end of your slides, right?
Thank you for listening.
Over to the judges.
I have a couple questions, but if anyone else wants to go first, feel free.
Far away, Chris.
Okay. Go ahead. I was just going to ask, is there a particular place on Mars that you are imagining this taking place, or do you have a favorite location and why?
It's not a real place, but it's not a real place here on Mars.
And if you could go anywhere on Mars, where would you go?
Where I heard that there are big mountain in the Mars, so I want to go there.
You said a mountain or
Yeah.
something else?
I
Oh, okay.
forgot name.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Nim, the judge from Kintone. Had a few questions for you. You were introduced, and I believe Harish said that you guys had used the Kintone platform. Can you share a little bit about how you use the platform?
Actually, we didn't use Kintone. Wait, was it said that we use Kintone?
That was my bad. Sorry, Nim.
Oh,
No worries. Thank you.
Sorry, are you done? I ask a couple questions if you don't mind. Zoom problem. Maybe there's a hand raising feature. So I just wanted to ask, are you, with this game, what is the, do you have a plan to continue development? Do you want to make this something that is more of an educational tool or more of an entertainment tool? How do you sort of envision building this out? And I'm sorry if I'm asking something that you covered, but I just want to be sure I understand.
I want to make this more like a game, or simulator. So like the car or those daily work, and that's more things. Yeah.
So you want to make it work or operate as one would experience the environment on Mars, or you want to make it operate, just to function as a entertainment module? Sort of experience. What I'm getting at is do you want to simulate the experience of someone living on Mars as a way to educate people about Mars, or do you want to make this as some sort of other feature? What's the big goal that you're trying to go after with this?
To educate people for what would be like if people could live on Mars.
Okay. So one quick add-on question. Do you want to add on the Martian moons now that JAXA is going to Phobos and Deimos with MMX? Yeah. I'm gonna say that. I wondered if your eyes were on that mission. That's going to be very cool.
Yeah, I think I will be. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I'll cut myself short. Anybody else wanted to ask? I thought some other voice came up there, but.
Just quickly, this is Mike, one of the judges. I'm curious, there's of course a lot of really great pictures of Mars now from different rovers from different countries. Do you envision using these images as you improve your game to make it more lifelike for someone being on Mars?
Yes. More reality. Yeah.
Okay.
Could you remind us what's the name of the challenge this was submitted for?
Wait, I forgot exact name. I think it was Earth in Earthmas. I think. Wait, was it? Yeah, I think.
Say it one more time.
That's time.
I think it is the Art in Artemis. I don't know how to say that word.
The exact, sorry.
Yeah, Earth in Artemis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. I guess we reached our time limit, or did you? Okay, yeah, I didn't want to add anything if we needed to stop.
last team up is Sundews and Spagnum. I'm going to pull up their presentation. Brandon, if you want to ask one last question while I pull it up, that's cool.
Right. So in terms of Chris's question about where you'd most like to visit on Mars, I think you're referring to Olympus Mons or something of that sort. Are you going to try and add that into your sim next?
Yes.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Big challenge. Big challenge for a big volcano.
Team Sundews and Spagnum, take it away.
Okay. We chose Sundew. Oh, wait a minute. I mean, first of all, Sundews and Spagnum is the name of our team tackling the Sustain Challenge. The team was formed by Kieran Makame, and we have Catherine Derensborough, me, Cecilia Costilla, Emily Green, and Elias Rosis on the team. Elias is our AI specialist, so he's the one that's handling that end of it. Okay, keep it right there. That's table 1. All right. We chose the Sustain Challenge with the use of Sundews and Spagnum. In our project, we would tackle the increasing problem of air quality that leads to a clean water supply and healthier environment. In our study, we point out the increasing particle matter that is one part of air pollution, focusing on Washington, Baltimore, and the metropolitan corridor. That's table 1 right there with the graphics. Satellite data indicated a 30% reduction from 1998 to 2012 over the eastern United States. Cleaner emission regulations were key in this role. However, more improvement is needed. Slide. We show an increased buildup of particulate matter and higher emissions in less developed countries without sustainable farming, agriculture, and plant life. Next slide. Testing possibilities and the use of AI are explained on this chart. Elias has more information for you on this. Is Elias out here?
I believe that's the next slide.
Oh, I think he skipped it. Yeah, it was in the wrong format. Okay, I can go to this one. Sundews are unique in their small size. They can be up to 10 inches with a weight of 500 grams. They can live up to 50 years and are very adaptable and are used to living in hostile environments. They are low maintenance and self-pollinating. They have antibacterial, antifungal, and medicinal properties. And they have their little tentacles right there actually secrete a sugar. If you look at the flower, they secrete a sugar. And when the insects land on them, they detect the impulses of the insects and they close their tentacles on them and they absorb nutrients from the insects themselves, leaving behind the exoskeletons as a carcass, and they dispose of the carcass. And they absorb some nutrients from the animals, but they get most of the nutrients from the water and from the air that they breathe. Let me go back to table 3, testing possibilities and the use of AI. I already said that. Okay, next slide, please. Sphagnum moss is very small and can live for 10 years. After their life cycle is complete, they break down into the bog to form peat soil. This moss can absorb many times their weight in water. They are tolerant and can inhibit bacterial growth while consuming methane. Very low cost and efficient. Next slide, please. The limitations for testing would be storage space on 747s and any spacecraft. Also, 0G definitely would be challenging. They are very sustainable for a living green environment on Earth, the ISS, and future terrestrial missions. We also, back to the other slide with the metropolitan area, this is key because as the United States is no longer part of the Paris Agreement, we have a lot more green agreements here. We produce a lot more green energy in the United States than most other nations in the world. That's why even though with the fires here in California, we have a lot of pollution in the air right now, particulate matter, but generally speaking, the air tends to be a lot cleaner in the United States because of regulation due due to regulation, where other countries with less agriculture and less developed areas have less regulation because of government doesn't enforce it properly. And we use, I believe, Elias used Kintone, and we used a lot of NASA data. Our GIFs were supposed to be animated, but we couldn't get that to work in the presentation part on it. Typically, the plants would consume insects, but like on the space station, they would be consuming or on the 747s in their test, they could be consuming particulate matter in the air, whether it's dead skin tissue or just environmental debris. They would consume it, and they could also be stimulated with a spray. I forgot to write the name down for that, but there's a spray that you can stimulate that stimulates the follicles to close in like it's consuming something, because there is people that actually grow these at homes in their gardens, and they have to stimulate the feeding process for them. Elias, you have more information on the AI development?
Yeah, so talk a little bit about, for this experiment, I was on the team to work on a companion app where you can track the different specimens, plants in this case. You can track the plants and other key data points on the plants, such as the humidity, how long they've been growing for, and the temperature in the immediate area for the plants. And I made a very basic use of Kintone as basically a database, but a database that's really easy to set up because you don't need to like write any SQL or anything. It's just drag and drop with the fields. And that was really easy to get set up. And then future plans are to pull that into a front end using Python and Vue, just because they're really easy. And that way, eventually we could structure it as a service model where other people can use the application and track their own specimens and conduct experiments.
Elias, if you want to share a demo, I can stop sharing and you can share your screen.
The demo is not in good order right now. I do have a rough UI demo. Perhaps I'll share that after everyone else has completed.
Okay.
And also, and not only does this help clear particulate matter in the atmosphere, but another solution to this, because they're using wetlands, constructed wetlands and water treatment systems now here. Yeah, they've been testing in Australia with high alkaline water and water from mining facilities that they inject back into the water table to reestablish water growth. But basically, it's a clean environment. You can actually, they have biorefineries that actually, we did some research. Biorefineries are thinking about being used up on Mars. That'll be powered by UV ray, and power stations will be supplied through solar arrays. So they'll be using the actual solar arrays to absorb the UV to power the substations up there. Some of this technology that we were working with, we actually did a lot of research through NASA, and like the hydroponic and the aeroponic environments are actually being tested. They have been tested in NASA, and some of them are currently being used on the space station.
Okay. May I speak?
Yes.
Okay. This was all started out from a very small experiment saying, could sundews, we have lots of more references than that. Could sundews sweep particulate matter out of the air of the ISS, because humans shed about 9 pounds of skin flakes alone, not to mention other interesting stuff over annually. But before we wanted to spend $10,000 a pound getting stuff onto the International Space Station, we thought about using a 747 as a control experiment environment, because it's an enclosed capsule, it's pressurized, and it's on Earth, and we can put them on 5-hour flights. 747 carries over 350 people, and they're about the size of the International Space Station, except the International Space Station has, while it's listed as being the size of a football field, it only has a third of that for living space as a 747 cabin, I believe, if my citations are correct, because everything else is jam-packed with experiments, especially now with the COVID and anything. The sundews are also good for even non-organic particulate matter, because obviously on Earth, after thousands of years of evolution, they're gonna get just plain dirt kicked on them. So they'll unfold, they'll drop it. They cost anywhere from $7 to $90 US. There's a whole international grower society. There's a huge following of this. We could put this experiment together and pass or fail it for a 747 for about $600 to $1,000 a unit, I think, for the complete experiment. There's 150 varieties of sundews. Sphagnum, oh, sorry. There's 150 varieties of sundews, and there's over 100 varieties of sphagnum moss and thyme. So I'll close on that.
Anyone else? I'll use the 9 seconds. Research and technology development areas include atmospheric revitalization and trace contaminant control, water recovery, waste management, and situ resource utilization, improved production and cellulose and algae biofuel feedstocks, engineered nanoscale self-assembling enzyme complexes, and systems engineering tools for technology gap identification, trace studies, and down selection.
And that's time.
In the nick of time.
Is there anything that we can ask that you feel comfortable asking us about? Because we know there's huge gaps in this presentation, even in 10 minutes. We spent so much time picking up so much research from NASA, so much research from that we couldn't show and we avoided Wikipedia just because Wikipedia is the go-to for everybody. But we even broke down and used Wikipedia on the lifespan of sundews.
We also
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Has it been shown before that sundews and sphagnum moss can grow without soil?
Yes.
Yes, they're designed for that. They're bog plants. I'm sorry, that was a huge, obvious mistake that I forgot to put in.
And so you see that translating into no need for soil. You could just give them nutrient media. Okay?
Aeroponic. You can grow them aeroponic or hydroponic. They work either way.
Yeah, too much nutrients will actually kill them. The roots are there just to hold them in place and say, I'm here.
And could you say more about the fire resistance? I saw that bullet. I don't think you talked about it a lot, but would you mind telling us more about the fire resistance and how that would connect to the longer term plan?
Okay, fire resistance wasn't me, but I should know about that anyway. I apologize. Does anybody else want to field the question?
Yeah, so I can actually do that. So they are extremely, even though they're bog plants, they are pretty drought tolerant when put in stressful environments. They do tolerate heat pretty well as well. And then as far as aftermath of the fires, which is the main reason why we went with sundews, they are natural little air purifiers. So they do take the soot and the ash out of the air, and they actually extract nutrients out of them. And they do very, very well in very acidic soils. So as the ash and soot gets broken down, soil does become more acidic. So they're still able to prosper out of that. They don't require perfect pH. So while everything around them is burning off, they're thriving, especially on that new and open space. So they kind of just take over.
And how would you use that in your plan going forward? Would you intentionally seed areas, or is there some other process that you would pursue?
So in the beginning stages, we imagined potentially seeding, that they're also really good propagators, which means that you can cut off a hunk of it. Potentially use either growth hormone if needed, or even just chuck it in its own little hydroponic portion, and it should sprout on its own. So which helps with it being fairly cost effective. If it came to the point where you needed many very quickly, you could seed them in growth medium. So it kind of just depends on the nature of the experiment, but both in theory would work depending on time constraints.
They propagate pretty well on their own because they're self-pollinating, and as part of their growth cycle is they go through a vegetative cycle, then they bloom, and while they're blooming, they're maturing during bloom, and they're giving birth to offspring. They're breeding. During the breeding process, that's when they produce spores. Toward the end of the life cycle, they release their spores, they propagate the area, then they break back down into the soil and become part of the peat soil instead of moss. So it just breaks down, because the majority of, that's how like valley fever came about here in the San Joaquin Valley, because of the microbes and stuff that are present in the peat dirt. And when it breaks down, when the farmers were turning the soil over, there was chemical reactions going on from the heat, but that's why they quit burning fires. They quit burning a lot of the soil around here to eradicate crops, because you have a lot of microorganisms that can develop under more stressful environments when heat is introduced. And it was producing spores that were ancient from 10, 15,000 years ago that were very toxic to humans and producing lung infections. Some aeruginosa bacteria, all kinds of different bacteria.
Yeah, I've got a question. I want to make sure I get in before we run out of time. Can you talk a little bit about how you use Kintone and what exactly are you tracking, and how would that connect to the front end?
Yeah, so we actually have a slide on that kind of got moved over pretty quickly, but Elias would be the one to answer that because that's kind of his portion.
Elias?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So Kintone being used at the most basic level as a way to store, we'll call them specimen objects. In this case, the fields are designed so that you have like a name for the specimen, temperature, humidity, and age, and an image for them. And those are all, the image is actually a reference link to an image, of course. The image itself isn't being hosted on Kintone. And using the REST API, that is how we query Kintone and then display the data on the front end. At this point, the front end is more proof of concept kind of thing, UI stuff, because I've only had enough time to implement the back end. But it's really fast to pull together. I expect I could pull it together given a few more days.
Great, thank you.
He did save the project. He was there for us, and we all worked very hard. Thank you.
Another dynamic that gave us interesting data was there's a current mission that I've been tracking it with the rocket that's supposed to be rescheduling a payload delivery up to the ISS, where they're doing radish research from a biologist, Hasselstein's research that's supposed to be heading up on radishes. So we were looking at some of the stuff that they're doing up there and looking at the research, and they actually have a couple of different things coming out of his university.
So I had one question that I wanted to ask. I hope it's okay if it's a little over time. So in terms of your selection for, I should say, filtration, I'm not very good with plants at all. I'll say that first of all. So this may be a very basic question, but one, is it possible that these would be edible in any way? And then the second question, is there an edible alternative that you also thought about? I mean, especially if you're thinking about long duration space flight and you have something that's not that you particularly want to recycle waste in that way, but it's a way to think about trying to improve efficiencies for long duration space flight.
Yes, actually. Oh, sorry, Catherine, if you want to go, you can answer the question, no problem.
Smithsonian Magazine real quick did a study on sphagnum moss, the sphagnum, and they said it was used during World War I to heal wounds. So it's medicinal. It's medicinal, and it was used to save thousands of soldiers' lives. So that's out of Smithsonian Magazine. That's some of the citations we didn't get to, but we have. Sundews are also edible. They're used in health, but they're not poisonous. But again, since they're like a vitamin or a mineral or a lot of things, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, won't come out and say this is as important as vitamin C.
Yeah, there hasn't been enough testing on them with regards to medicinal purposes. There was a research that has been done. It's even in WebMD where they've actually been used since the 12th century for upper respiratory infections and cough and any kind of ailment within the respiratory surface. And you can use it for red pigment as well. And I mean, it's pretty universal.
But
Yes, it's like for cough or something, you can have a, first of all, I'm apologize that my video is not working. But yeah, so hi, I'm Kiran. And the thing is that, yes, it is edible, but it's difficult to digest. So it's not recommended. You need to take a proper precautions before consuming it. You can have a soup of it. Like I have read few papers where you can have sundew soup. You can make a soup and have it for cough or asthma kind of things. But then you have to follow proper precautions. So it's like without educating people, you can't just tell that it's edible.
No. Yeah, yes, as Karen said. One of the interesting things I do know a little about plant patenting in the Library of Congress, and that comes down to unless a medicine is compounded in some way and then registered for a patent, you can't just go out and say, I patent these cucumbers. That was just very, very recent that those laws started to change, but I'm not a lawyer. I haven't gone to law school. I'm a picture book
generally
writer.
things that are natural phenomena you can't patent. So I think that falls under that. I can't patent myself, as much fun as that might be.
Tyrell Corporation, more human than human. So, but I'm really happy with our results, and I'm happy with my team, and I think Karen's a solid leader. Everybody really pulled together, and I was a weak link, but
no, absolutely not.
Everyone worked hard and everyone has put their efforts equally. Nothing is like that. Nobody was weak or strong. Everyone was great.
So
your effort shows. So I please don't worry about that. That's it's a short amount of time, and for the amount of time you had, you should be proud of what you are able to accomplish.
So
Thank you, Brendan.
That is it.
On that note, I would like to bring everybody back. At this point, I think we are at the end of our presentations officially. We will now have a breakout session where everybody on the call is free to stay here, or you can take a break, stretch. And I'm sure it's been a long marathon that you would want to at least take a little bit of a breather for. So the judges would deliberate, and we can resume back in this room in around 20 minutes. In the meantime, when you're here, I will put up a survey link. You will have to fill that survey link out. So if everybody can stay here for for some time, and we'll break the judges out into their own room to deliberate. And while that's happening, I'm going to bring up a survey link that I would like for you all to fill out. That is important also for us to have a mailing address to ship you the masks and all that stuff. So please hold on while I do that, and the judges will deliberate in a separate room. If you can see my screen, you will see a link at the bottom. Please visit that link and fill out that survey.
Okay, the judges are all in the room.
Awesome.
I gotta get out.
Hello, I am pinging anybody from Sunday and Sphagnum team.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, there was a question from the judges. If you have any kind of a demo of an interface or an actual thing, if they can see, if you have a link to something that they can take a look at.
Okay,
Or you might
just give
or
us.
share your
Yeah.
screen with them, that's fine too.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I know that you might not have hosted it online. So in any way you can share screenshots or even share screens, that would be fine too, if you don't have it online.
Okay.
I can share a link or I can share my screen.
Elias, if you can share the link, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, the judges are sitting in their own room, so I don't think they can actually see the screen we have now. Or if you have something you can share on the screen, I can actually let you in the judges' room and have you show it to them that way.
I have the link. Who should I send it to? One of the judges. I think. I can send it to you, Harish.
Cool.
Does that work?
Yep, that works.
It's really long. I'm sorry.
Sure. Because you have the token in there as well, right there.
Yeah. Got it. Contact information. Yep. What was the URL beginning with for that?
It's Adobe, right? xd.adobe.com is the start of the URL.
Okay, yeah. Thanks.
Okay. The person who has given the link, is he still there?
Yeah, Elias is still on the call.
Okay, so Nim is asking for a screenshot of the Kintone interface that to see how it appears to them, to the team.
Sure. Yeah, one sec.
So we don't have a channel on Slack for the judges, do we?
No, unfortunately, we don't.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you want to create one now?
Well, they're not gonna know about it.
Unless unless we invite them. You're the messenger, Igor.
Okay. It would be nice because otherwise I have to interrupt their stuff all the time.
Okay, let me ask to create that.
Judges are not in a Slack, right?
Can we create a channel for them?
You have to register though.
Sure.
You can try that image, Igor.
Okay, I see something. All right, this should be good. Thank you.
はい、ゴールさん。
Nim, you have access to the Slack channel where we posted the screenshot, right?
I do not.
I just added you to Slack. Just take a look. Are you on the the Binnovative Slack channel?
I am not.
Oh.
You can send it to Leo, and I'll send it to him.
Perfect. Actually, Igor just dropped the image in the chat. Thank you, and thanks, Leo.
All right.
Great. This is what I was looking for.
Hey, Nim, can you direct message an email address where I can send you a link to the Slack channel, please?
Sure.
Nim, it says you're already in the workspace, which means that you're already on the Slack, the main Slack channel itself. It's just a matter of, I think, accepting the invite.
Okay, I'm taking care of that right now.
But it shows that you're not online on Slack, so there might be some, you might not be on the Isaac channel.
Looks like I've logged in. I've logged in at this point.
Sorry?
Looks like I'm here.
Yep.
Hello?
Hello. We will get started in just a minute. We're doing some baby downloading at this point.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for waiting. Judges just came back from their discussion. So we are going to resume this presentation to make announcement for winner. I've been explaining this since the beginning, but we are going to pick up 2 winners, and this team have to submit the short video in order to escalate to the global judging. So this time around, also, it's been explained to you guys multiple times, so I'm not gonna go over, but point is, it's gonna go to January to see the global judging result. And in case you are selected global winners, and at that point, I don't know about COVID situation, but they decide to, it's okay to invite winners. Winner gonna be invited space launch. That'd be nice. So once again, thank you very much for the judges for taking this duty. So we're going to winner announcement. So one of the judges going to announce the second prize. Let me just stop sharing screen.
Hi. So before we get going, I want to say that everybody here did a wonderful job and really pushed forward in spite of very difficult circumstances. So sorry, Rico? Or somebody? Oh, okay, yeah. Can you hear me? Oh, okay, I'm sorry about that. I had some weird audio thing for a second. Anyway, so not to go on very far, the second prize winner is the Jawas group. And so you're pushing forward on a very interesting topic, which is of course at the forefront of all of our minds, and we hope that we'll get our get our social house in order someday. May not see it myself, but hopefully we'll get there. And for the first prize winner, we have selected Sundews and Sphagnum. It's a very interesting application, and we hope that you'll be able to carry your project forward. And then lastly, we also want to call out the Zasa group. We've decided, even though it doesn't come with any official prize or anything of that sort. We want to call you out for the bravery award, given the challenges that you face, not only with the language barrier, but also with dealing with the current situation. And I'm not sure if I understood entirely, but I think many of you are exchange students, if I understand correctly. So we want to encourage you to really push forward and continue this project. And we really, really encourage you to come back next year and give it another shot. We think your project has a lot of potential, and we just want to congratulate you along with everybody else who participated here. So, very excellent work all around, and we hope to see everyone back here next year.
Thank you. Actually, Group ZASA is a student of the ZKai, if I understand, and they're also one of the attendees from Japan, I think. So it's very, nice to see Japanese students are, tackling the NASA program. And then also, we have a Kinton API prize. Nim, you want to announce?
Sure. So the winner of this year's Kinton API prize is the Sundews and Sphagnum team. Congratulations, guys! Great work. It's a really cool vision. For your team, you guys will split $300 Amazon gift certificate, and each one of you will receive a microcontroller to encourage you to keep hacking, keep doing the great work. Well done, everyone.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to watch everybody's effort for that weekend. And so this is end of presentation and winner announcement. So I want to ask Mr. Kriskar to conclude this event.
Thank you. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Well, I just want to say, first of all, congratulations to all of you for participating. You were truly part of something that is much bigger than a group, a person, a team, or a place, but was really across the globe. And I know that this is a strange year, but there will be more. And I think it's wonderful to participate in something that's greater than ourselves. We all strive for that in different ways. So I first want to congratulate all the teams, and there may be some more that were not listed here when I captured this, but congratulations, you did a great job in a very short amount of time. And I also want to say thank you to the Binovative team who've been involved with the NASA Space Apps, Cambridge, Boston, for many years. And so, let's just take a moment to say thanks to them. And then I'd like to ask you, don't let this be the end of your journey. Let this be a step on your journey. Humankind really needs you right now. We need you to explore, to search for life beyond Earth, to understand, how our position in the universe. We need to solve some existential crises like climate change. We need to address really serious problems that we have in human society with economic and social injustice. We need to turn that into justice. We heard that today from one of our teams. So thank you for doing that. It's such an important part of what we need to do going forward, because without it, all these other exciting things are what are they for? And then your vision, pursue your vision, because you have ideas that go far beyond what any of us might come up with. So it's unleash your vision on the world. I can just speak from my own experience. I'll leave you with a few of my grand challenges. but of course you may have your own, and I would encourage you to share them and work on them. So for me, one of them is find or bring life beyond Earth. You know, let's go to Mars, let's look for life there, but let's also take life there. Let's go there as humans. Let's potentially, you know, maybe we'll be growing plants, perhaps some sphagnum or otherwise. And let's make possible multi-planet sustainable living. And if we can do that on Mars, we can do it on Earth. So I hope that that will be something we can achieve. I think from both a standpoint of curiosity, but also just understanding our place and ultimately building a better world, we can make biology an engineering discipline. We can understand the nature of life, how we connect with it, and use that information to improve human health and to make our world as livable as possible. And in doing so, hopefully we can also extend health span and maybe lifespan, although to me, health span is the one that's really important, making sure that we all have the ability to live out our lives in relative health the best we can and not limited to any one group. And then finally, I think another grand challenge for me is to make, as someone working in technology, is to make sure that technology does not bring with it injustice. So let's make sure that what we're doing is expressed in a way that is just, so that our algorithms are not biased. And we build that society that does reflect, hopefully reflects our values. So just a few life lessons for me and potential, you know, next steps in your journey. I think we're really more similar than different. And what I mean by that is all of us are an unbroken chain of 4 billion years of evolution. We carry that with us. So we, at our root, we are more similar than different. And we need that message more than ever in today's world. Also, and I think this is very apt to the current moment, in the middle of a global pandemic with so many other things going on in the world as well, take care of yourself. Make sure you feed your body and your mind. Pursue activities that give you some joy. It might be going outside, but it also might be playing an instrument or coding or doing some activity that brings you a state of flow where you can lose a sense of time. If you do a little bit of that every day, it may help you create a more sustainable path forward. Showing up. I got my PhD in 2005, and it took me 15 years after that to obtain my first faculty position, which I've just started. So, and I can tell you, I submitted so many proposals that were rejected. Don't be afraid of rejection. Count it. It will be part of your story, and when you overcome, then it will be in spite of all those rejections. That's just a part of life. Be persistent. Believe in yourself. Show up. Know the risks. One of the best things I ever did was in climbing a mountain in the Andes and turning around. So know what your limits are and be willing to change direction if doesn't make sense anymore for safety or for other risks. Just live to, you know, there are old pilots and there are bold pilots, but no old bold pilots. So, and then I think asking yourself this question, what can you do without anyone's permission? It could be reading a book. It could be writing a book. It could be talking to people. It could be going out in the world and experiencing something new, but there's a lot of things that you can do that you don't have to ask anyone else for permission. That's a great way to go when you're stuck. Be open, be engaged, connect with people who are different than yourselves. I think it's pretty clear we all need to do that to try to reach a world where we can interact in a productive way and create a more unified society with shared values. I think also, over the short term, you can do anything. And I think we're seeing a lot of that right now. People are in some very difficult circumstances. But in the long run, try to establish and align your internal motivation and your external reality. That might mean, picking a career that you also derive enjoyment from. It doesn't have to be that way all the time, but if you can do that in the long run, that's going to make it more sustainable for you. And also recognize life is bigger than any of us, and the people around us, we need each other. We need other people and they need us. We need to work together. It's bigger than all of us. And then what is success? What's your definition of success? Is it based on the outcome or is it based on a process? And I would argue maybe it should be a process. And so, we only have control over ourselves, and even that sometimes is a privilege. So control what we can, work on what we can, maybe don't be wedded to the outcome, but the process, and that can lead us in a path that's both productive, but also not force us into a situation of judging ourselves for things that we cannot control. So, and then we also have to ask this question, we have a lot of power with technology today. We can do a lot of things, and we also have to ask, should we? So I think there's a big difference between can we and should we. And so first we can think about what we could do, then we can think about should we do it. And I want to leave you with something that's inspirational to me. To me, we are conscious entities that are made of stardust, and we are limited by physics, but the fact that we exist and think about it means that physics supports that magical experience of being conscious. The parts that are in our bodies existed before the origins of the solar system. So you are ancient, you are multitudes of stars, and you are magic, and physics is magic. So to me, everything is therefore magic. So I'll leave you with that thought, and I thank you all, and I hope that you go from this experience and take another step and another step and another step. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chris. Chris is our Innovatives mentor, and then with he's been helping us great amount of portion for us. Then I know he just got a job in Georgia Tech. It's congratulations, by the way. So then I know he's busy, but I asked, can you please speak at the closing? He says sure, and I need guideline, nothing. You speak whatever you want, and it came out a great message to us. So thank you so much for your time. And then everyone, thank you so much for joining us. So to be honest, I saw 10 or 11 submission in NASA site, but then you guys are so brave and great to come here to present your project in local judging. That'll be really, I respect you guys. And also, as I said earlier, Innovative and NASA Isaac Boston is a community. So there are people join over and over, and sometimes coming attendees, sometimes coming as the mentor, look at people around you here. So feel free to reach me, reach out one of the our staff. Volunteer. If you want to interest in be part of this side of the world of the NASA Isaac, we are always welcome to work with you. So thank you so much. This is the official end of this hackathon. So I will just ask to unmute everybody now. So unless you want to say something, then that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well done, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was really a nice experience.
Ife, you want to come and say something?
Yeah, this is for the very first time I participated in the hackathon, and it was amazing. Not just because our team won, but meeting new people, forming a team with completely strangers, and working so hard. It was nice. It was very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to thank the organizers of this event.
Ife, everybody's speaking. I think you should put a dress on real quick so you can come and talk. Ife, come put a dress on real quick, and then you can get back.
Just keep my camera on?
No.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Iroku, for the opportunity to participate. All the participants had good submissions, and it is truly an honor to be part of something greater than ourselves. This world needs more people like this involved in things, not just with space apps and everything, just with everything, community, racism. I mean, you can think of every aspect on this planet, and the only way you're going to deal with it is through unity. You cannot deal with this by yourself.
And that doesn't mean agreement.
That's right. No, you can agree to argue too, as long as there's a compromise. Thank you, Christopher.
That's true.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say that I really enjoyed this experience, and like I want to keep on doing this like until I get to college, so I'll be able to like get better and better at this.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Never let anything hold you back.
Life is good. Life is good. Life is good. I'm calm.
I think we're all telling ourselves that every day these days.
Oh. Wow. What first made you look at the stars? Christopher? What first made you look up at the sky and say, I want to at least have the option to go there?
I grew up in the outdoors a lot. So I probably looked at the stars many, many times when I was young, but I think what really crystallized it for me was the Challenger disaster. And realizing that, space exploration has risks, but we should do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Any disaster is horrific. I remember was the Columbia disaster and all that. We were in science class and we were watching it live. It was a live feed being fed into our classroom, and we were all sitting there. And when that thing exploded, the whole classroom cried.
Yeah,
one of the most horrific events to experience.
I'll have to run to another event, but thank you everyone who participated, and hope to see you the next hackathon.
Thank you so much, Elias.
Next time, and hopefully in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
We have a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.